Yuna frowned at her computer screen. As the Council's lead researcher for primitive civilizations, she had studied thousands of worlds. But Earth's history didn't make sense. "Look at this," she said to Ambassador Hansel, pointing to ancient texts on her screen. "Every old human civilization talks about guardians or protectors. The Greeks, Egyptians, Maya, Chinese, they all mention beings or machines that washed over them." "Many primitive worlds have similar myths," Hansel said, but he didn't sound convinced. "Yes, but look closer." Yuna pulled up more images. "These aren't just stories. They all describe the same things: hidden chambers, strange lights, machines that sleep beneath the earth, and the descriptions match perfectly across continents that had no contact with each other." Hansel leaned closer to read. Outside his office window, New York City buzzed with life. 3 days had passed since their arrival, and everything still looked normal. Too normal. "There's more," Yuna said. "Yesterday, I tried to use our advanced scanner near their primitive communication devices. The scanner stopped working. It broke." "No," Yuna shook her head. "It didn't break. It was blocked. Their primitive technology somehow blocked our advanced scanner. That should be impossible." Before Hansel could answer, his communication device buzzed. "Ambassador, you need to see this," his security chief said. "We found one of those ancient structures. The humans gave us permission to study it." 20 minutes later, Hansel stood in an underground chamber beneath the Egyptian desert. The walls were made of a metal that shouldn't exist on a level 2 world. Strange symbols glowed faintly in the dim light. "We can't cut it, scan it, or analyze it," a council scientist said. "The humans say it's just an old tomb." But he touched the wall. The metal was warm. "Ambassador," Yuna called from another room. "Their internet, their global communication network. I found something strange. When I tried to trace their data paths, some of them disappear into nowhere, like they're using paths that don't exist." Hansel touched the warm metal wall. "Representative Park," he called to Jiho, who stood watching with that same calm smile. "Would you care to explain this?" "Ancient mysteries," Jiho said simply. "Every world has them, yes. Perhaps your scientists can help us understand them better." But Hansel noticed something. When they had entered the chamber, Jiho hadn't looked surprised or curious. He had looked satisfied. That night, Hansel couldn't sleep. He watched Earth's cities glitter below his hotel window. Everything looked right on the surface. Primitive vehicles filled the streets. Simple aircraft crossed the sky. Basic satellites orbited above. His communication device buzzed again. "Sir," his security chief's voice was tense. "Remember those energy readings from the planet's core? They're changing, growing stronger." Hansel walked to the window. In the street below, he saw Jiho Park entering a building. But just before the human disappeared inside, Hansel saw him press something on his wrist. For a split second, the air around him had rippled. In her research lab, Yuna made one final note before bed. "Earth's technology isn't primitive. It's not even hidden. It's right in front of us, disguised as primitive technology. But why? What are they waiting for?" Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, in the same ancient chamber that had noted the Council's first arrival, more systems began to wake up. Across the planet, hidden machines that had slept for thousands of years quietly hummed to life. In his underground office, Jiho Park watched the status reports flow in. "They're starting to notice," Sumin said from behind him. "Good." Jiho smiled. Jin Kim was clever, finding those energy readings. Yuna is clever too, seeing through our history. Let them keep looking. Let them keep finding clues. And when they realize the truth, Jiho turned to face the wall. At his touch, the metal surface transformed into a vast display, showing thousands of dormant systems scattered across the galaxy. Ancient outposts, hidden stations, sleeping ships, all waiting for Earth's signal. When they realized the truth, Jai-Ho said softly, "They'll understand why we stayed hidden for so long, and why we can't hide anymore." 6 months after Earth's awakening, the galaxy was a very different place. Where the Galactic Council's buildings once stood alone, a new city had grown. Earth called it the City of Stars, and it welcomed people from every world. Do-Jin Kim, the researcher who first found Earth's energy readings, walked through the city's main hall. He smiled as he remembered how it all began. Now ships from 1,000 worlds filled the sky above. Some were old and simple, others were as advanced as Earth's vessels. All were welcome. "Quite a change from when you first found us, isn't it?" Jai-Ho Park said, appearing beside him. The Earth representative still wore his flowing metal clothes, but now many others wore similar things. Earth was sharing its technology, but carefully and slowly. "I still can't believe I didn't see the truth," Do-Jin said, watching alien children play with floating toys powered by Earth's quantum technology. All the signs were there. "The best hiding place is in plain sight," Jai-Ho laughed. "But now we don't need to hide anymore." They walked to a large window. Earth floated in the sky above them, no longer pretending to be primitive. Its cities glowed with power. Ships came and went freely. The defense platforms stood proud and visible, protecting not just Earth, but any world that asked for help. In another part of the city, Commander Ta-1 was teaching young pilots from different worlds. Their ships were a mix of old and new technology. Earth had found ways to make old and new work together, just like they were helping old and new civilizations work together. "The key is balance," Ta-1 told his students. "Power is good, but wisdom is better. Technology is useful, but understanding is more important." Min-Ji had turned the global archives into a library for all species. Aliens walked through halls that told Earth's history, learning from both its successes and mistakes. In one room, she showed visitors the records of the ancient war. "We must remember the past," she told them, "so we can build a better future." Su-Min's defense command now included officers from many worlds. Together, they watched the galaxy's borders, preparing for the dark enemy that was coming. But this time, Earth wouldn't fight alone. This time, they had allies who chose to stand with them. Ambassador Han-Sol, who had become the link between Earth and other worlds, stood in his new office. On his desk, 2 pictures sat side by side. One showed Earth as it had appeared 6 months ago, seemingly primitive and simple. The other showed Earth as it was now, awake and alive with power and purpose. "Ambassador," his assistant called. "The new trading fleet is ready to launch." Han-Sol walked to his window. A line of ships stretched into space. Some were Earth's advanced vessels, others were simple ships from new worlds. They would travel together, the strong helping the weak, the old teaching the new. In the City of Stars' main meeting room, Jai-Ho Park addressed representatives from hundreds of worlds. The room was built with Earth's ancient technology, but decorated with art from all species. "6 months ago, you knew us as a primitive world," he said. "Now you know us as an ancient power, but neither of those labels tells the whole truth. We are teachers and students, helpers and learners. We have power, yes, but we choose to use it wisely." He touched a control, and the ceiling became transparent, showing the galaxy above. "Look around you. Every world has something to teach. Every species has something to learn. That's the real secret we kept for 10,000 years. That's the truth that makes us strong." As if to prove his words, alarms sounded throughout the city. But they weren't warning signals. They were celebration sounds. Another of Earth's old allies had awakened. Another sleeping giant had opened its eyes. The new era wasn't just about Earth anymore. It was about all worlds working together, old and new, strong and weak, each finding their own path, but helping each other along the way. Earth had changed from a primitive world to a sleeping giant to something even better. It had become a teacher, a protector, and a friend to all. No one expected the pirates to attack Earth. After all, who would attack a planet full of primitive humans? The pirate fleet appeared suddenly, 15 ships dropping out of faster-than-light travel near Mars. Ambassador Hansol was in a meeting with Jai-Ho Park when the alarm sounded. "Pirates," Hansol said, checking his device. "We need to evacuate you to a safe location. Your weapons won't be able to stop their ships." Jai-Ho didn't move from his chair. He just smiled and sipped his tea. "There's no need to worry, Ambassador. Earth has adequate defenses." "Adequate?" Hansol stared at him. "Your most powerful weapons are nuclear missiles. They won't even reach the pirate ships." In orbit, the pirate leader laughed as he looked at Earth's primitive satellites. "Look at these toys," he said to his crew. "They're still using radio waves and chemical rockets." That's when the ocean changed. First, the waters of the Pacific began to move. Not like waves. More like something massive was rising from below. The pirate ship's sensors started screaming warnings. In the meeting room, Jai-Ho Park touched a small panel on his watch. Screens appeared in the air around them, showing views from space. Hansol gasped. The primitive human satellites were transforming. What had looked like simple communication satellites split open like flowers. Hidden weapons emerged. Panels that had seemed to be solar arrays became energy shields. "Impossible," Hansol whispered. From the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, enormous platforms rose into the sky. They were made of the same strange metal Hansol had seen in the Egyptian chamber. Water streamed off their surfaces as they climbed higher and higher. Defense platforms activated, a calm voice announced throughout Earth's major cities. But most humans just went about their day, as if nothing unusual was happening. In a command center deep beneath Mount Fuji, Su-min sat in a chair that hadn't been used in 10,000 years. Screens floated around him, showing every pirate ship in perfect detail. "This is Earth Defense Command to unidentified vessels." Su-min's voice boomed across space. "You have entered a restricted zone. Leave immediately or be destroyed." The pirates responded by firing their weapons. Energy beams and plasma torpedoes shot toward Earth. They'd never reached their targets. The defense platforms created a shield of pure energy around the planet. The pirates' weapons disappeared into it like raindrops falling into an ocean. "Very well," Su-min said quietly. He pressed a single button. The transformed satellites fired. Not primitive missiles or lasers, but weapons that bent space itself. 3 pirate ships simply vanished. 4 more tried to run but found themselves frozen in place. "What's happening?" The pirate leader screamed as his ship's systems shut down one by one. "They're supposed to be primitive." In the meeting room, Hansol watched in shock as Earth's primitive defenses captured or destroyed the entire pirate fleet in less than 5 minutes. Not a single shot had reached Earth's atmosphere. As I said, Jai-Ho Park smiled, still sipping his tea. "Adequate defenses." "How?" Hansol turned to him. "How long have you had these weapons?" "Oh, the defense platforms." Jai-Ho looked out the window at one of the massive structures now floating above the ocean. "They're quite old. About 50,000 years, I think. We built them back when Earth was the center of the Confederation." "The Confederation?" Hansol felt dizzy. "What Confederation?" "The one we led before we decided to sleep," Jai-Ho said simply. "It's all in our history, Ambassador. We just wrote it as myths and legends, hidden in plain sight, like everything else." Above them, the defense platforms settled into position around Earth, their surfaces shimmering with power. Su-min's voice came through once more. "All threats eliminated. Returning to standard camouflage mode." The platforms slowly sank back into the oceans. The satellites folded their weapons away, becoming simple communication devices again. Within an hour, everything looked normal, primitive, once more. "Now then," Jai-Ho Park stood up, straightening his simple suit. "Shall we continue our meeting about Earth's developing technology? I believe we were discussing our primitive space program." Hansol could only stare at him, finally understanding what Du Jin Kim's energy readings had meant. They hadn't found a primitive world at all. They had woken up a giant. Min-ji walked through the newly opened halls of the Global Archives, hidden for thousands of years beneath the ice of Antarctica. The walls glowed with soft blue light, showing the true history of Earth. Behind her, Ambassador Hansol and several council members followed, their eyes wide with wonder. "These records go back 100,000 years," Min-ji said, touching a wall. Images appeared in the air, showing Earth's past glory. "I am the chief archivist. My family has kept these records safe, passing down the truth from parent to child, waiting for the day we would wake up." "Why are you showing us this now?" Hansol asked, watching as images of ancient Earth ships filled the air around them. Min-ji stopped at a large door. "Because you need to understand what Earth truly is before the rest of our systems wake up. What you've seen so far, the defense platforms, the hidden technology, that's just the surface." The door opened into a vast, round room. In the center, a perfect model of the galaxy floated in the air. Thousands of points of light glowed across its spiral arms. "The blue lights are our old outposts," Min-ji explained. "The green ones are friendly worlds we helped develop. The red ones." She paused. "Those are the worlds we lost in the final war." Hansol walked around the galaxy map. "There are so many blue lights." "Earth didn't just build ships and weapons," Min-ji said. "We built teaching centers, healing places, research stations. Before the war, we had outposts in every part of the galaxy. Most of them are still there, sleeping like we were." She touched another panel. The room filled with images of amazing machines, ships that could fold space, devices that could build entire cities in days, medical tools that could cure any disease. "Our technology wasn't just advanced," Min-ji said. "It was different. We didn't just make things bigger or faster. We found new ways to work with the basic rules of the universe." Suddenly, alarms started ringing. Not harsh or scary, but like distant music. Su-min's voice came through the air. "The awakening has reached level 3. All primary systems are now online." Around the world, more changes were happening. The seas began to glow with hidden lights. The sky shifted colors as ancient atmospheric systems activated. Deep in space, old satellites revealed their true forms. "What's happening?" a council member asked nervously. "Earth is remembering what it can do," Min-ji smiled. "Watch." On screens around the room, they saw Earth's cities beginning to change. Buildings that looked simple and primitive started to shine with hidden power. Roads that seemed to be made of plain concrete revealed complex energy systems beneath. 10,000 years ago, Min-ji said, "We didn't just hide our technology. We transformed it. Everything you think is primitive on Earth is actually advanced technology in disguise. Those simple cars, they can fly. Those basic computers, they're connected to a quantum network older than your civilization." Hansol watched as more and more of Earth's true nature was revealed. "Why show us all this? Why not keep it hidden?" Min-ji's face grew serious. "Because something is coming. The same darkness that caused the war 10,000 years ago. Our deep space sensors are picking up their signals again. That's why Earth is waking up. That's why we need allies who understand what we really are." She walked to another door, this one larger than the first. "Would you like to see our real ships now? The ones that have been sleeping under the oceans?" As the door opened, Hansol and the council members gasped. The chamber beyond was endless, filled with vessels that made their most advanced ships look like children's toys. "Earth was never primitive," Min-ji said softly. "We were just resting, healing, waiting for the right time. And now, thanks to your arrival and the pirate attack, that time has come." In orbit, Earth's appearance was changing. The blue and green planet now shimmered with layers of energy shields. Hidden cities rose from the oceans. Ancient machines took to the skies. The sleeping giant wasn't just awake now. It was ready to rise again. The news spread across the galaxy like a wave. Earth was not primitive. Earth was ancient. Earth was powerful. And Earth was awake. In the Galactic Council's main chamber on their home world, chaos ruled. Hundreds of representatives argued and shouted. Some wanted to make friends with Earth right away. Others wanted to hide from its power. A few even talked about trying to fight, though those voices quickly went quiet when they saw the new pictures of Earth's fleet. Ambassador Hansol stood calmly in the center of the storm. "You don't understand," he said, his voice cutting through the noise. "Fighting isn't an option. Hiding isn't an option. Earth's technology is beyond anything we have." On the giant screens around them, images from Earth played. The planet now glowed with power, its surface transformed. The simple-looking satellites had become a network of defense stations that could stop any attack. The oceans held cities and shipyards that could build fleets in days. "Their defensive capabilities are greater than all our combined forces," Hansol continued. "But that's not the most important thing." He touched a control, and new images appeared. These showed Earth's ships appearing near old, abandoned space stations across the galaxy. As they watched, the stations lit up, coming back to life after 10,000 years of sleep. Earth didn't just hide itself, Hansol explained. It hid its entire civilization. Those trading posts you thought were ancient ruins. Those abandoned research stations, those empty shipyards, they all belong to Earth. And they're all waking up. In a quiet corner of the chamber, Yuna worked quickly on her computer. "Sir," she called to Hansol, "I've been checking our star maps. If all these stations belong to Earth..." She paused, looking worried. "They have bases in every part of the galaxy. We've been living in their old empire without even knowing it." The council members fell silent at this news. On the screens, more and more stations came to life. Each one was more advanced than anything the council had. "Message from Earth," a technician announced suddenly. Jeho Park's face appeared on the main screen, still wearing his flowing metal clothes. "Honored council members," Jeho said with his usual calm smile. "We understand this is a lot to take in. But please remember, Earth was once the center of peace in this galaxy. We helped worlds grow. We shared knowledge. We protected the weak." He paused, letting his words sink in. "We went to sleep because the galaxy needed time to heal and grow on its own. But now something dangerous is coming. Something that made us hide long ago. We need to work together." The council members whispered among themselves. What could be so dangerous that it made Earth, this incredibly powerful Earth, hide for 10,000 years? In Earth's orbit, Sumin watched the council meeting from his command center. Around him, screens showed Earth's forces taking position across the galaxy. Not to fight or threaten, but to protect. "They're afraid of us," he said to Minji, who stood nearby checking ancient records. "Of course they are," Minji replied. "They thought they were the most advanced civilization in the galaxy. Now they know they've been living in our shadow all along. But they'll understand soon enough." She brought up an image of a distant galaxy. Strange, dark shapes moved at its edges. "We have maybe 1 year before they arrive. The same enemy that attacked us before. The council will have to trust us by then." Back in the council chamber, Hansol made one final statement. "You have a choice," he told the worried representatives. "You can accept that everything you knew about Earth was wrong and work with them. Or you can ignore their offer of friendship and face what's coming alone." One by one, the council members began to nod. They had seen Earth's power. They had seen its ancient stations come back to life. They had seen its fleets and cities and technology. The galaxy had changed. The sleeping giant was awake. And soon, they would all need its help. The day after the pirate attack, strange things began happening all over Earth. In the frozen lands of Antarctica, something was warming up beneath the ice. In the deepest part of the Amazon rainforest, ancient machines hummed to life. Under the Sahara Desert, vast chambers began to open. Ambassador Hansol stood in the Galactic Council's emergency meeting room, which they had set up in New York. His hand shook as he tried to explain what he had seen. The defense platforms were just the beginning, he said to the room full of worried council members. Earth is waking up. On screens around the room, they watched as more of Earth's secrets revealed themselves. In the Mariana Trench, the deepest part of Earth's oceans, a door bigger than a city opened slowly. In the Himalayan mountains, what everyone thought were peaks of ice and rock began to shift and change. Ambassador, a council member called out, "Our ships can't leave Earth's orbit. Something is holding them in place." Before Hansol could respond, Jeho Park walked into the room. But he looked different now. His simple suit had been replaced by clothing that seemed to be made of flowing metal. A soft light pulsed beneath his skin. "Don't worry about your ships," Jeho said calmly. "They're safe. We just need everyone to stay and listen for a while." "Listen to what?" Hansol asked. Jeho smiled and touched a wall. Instantly, the whole room transformed. The walls disappeared, showing them a view of space, unlike anything they had ever seen. But this wasn't the space they knew. This was space from long ago. 10,000 years ago, Jeho began. Earth was not a primitive world. We were the center of the largest peaceful civilization this galaxy had ever seen. We called it the Confederation. The view changed, showing hundreds of worlds connected by streams of light. Ships that made their current vessels look like toys moved between the stars. We had solved most of the big problems, Jeho continued. Hunger, disease, war, even death itself. We helped other worlds do the same. For 5,000 years, there was peace. What happened? Yuna asked quietly from her corner of the room. Jeho's face grew sad. Something came from outside our galaxy. Something that saw peace as weakness. They thought they could easily destroy a civilization that had forgotten how to fight. The view changed again, showing a terrible battle. Strange ships of dark energy fought against Earth's forces. "We won," Jeho said. But the cost was too high. Many worlds were lost. The survivors were scared. They began to fight among themselves. Hansol watched as the grand civilization fell apart. "So you went into hiding." "We went to sleep," Jeho corrected him. "We hid our technology, buried our cities, and made ourselves forget. We started over as a primitive world, letting time heal old wounds. But we left guardians, watchers, and protectors. We left our defenses ready." Around the world, more and more ancient systems were waking up. In orbit, satellites revealed their true forms. Under every city, sleeping machines came to life. Yesterday's pirate attack was the first real threat to Earth in 10,000 years, Jeho said. It triggered our automatic defenses. And now everything is waking up. The sleeping giant is opening its eyes. Su Min appeared next to Jeho, wearing similar clothing of flowing metal. "All systems are online," he reported. "The bunkers are open. The fleet is ready. Earth remembers what it once was." Hansol looked out a window at New York City. On the surface, everything still looked normal. Cars moved through the streets. People walked on sidewalks. But now he could see the truth. The buildings weren't primitive at all. The roads weren't simple pavement. Everything, everywhere, was more than it seemed. "So what happens now?" he asked. Jeho looked at the council members with kind eyes. "Now we need to talk. About the past, about the future, and about how we can help each other. After all," he smiled, "that's what we did before. That's what Earth was meant to do." In space, Earth's true form became visible at last. A world of wonders, a planet of ancient power, and the sleeping giant that had finally decided to wake up. Commander Taiwan stood in Earth's new Central Command, looking at screens that showed every part of the galaxy. The room was deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, in a city that had slept for 10,000 years. Now it buzzed with activity as Earth's ancient systems came fully online. "We have a choice to make," he said to the gathered Earth leaders. "Our old empire is awake. Our power has returned. But what do we do with it?" Jai-Ho Park sat quietly in his chair, watching the screens. They showed Earth's ships and stations across the galaxy. Some council worlds were scared. Others wanted Earth's help right away. A few were angry about being fooled for so long. "The enemy will be here in 1 year," Sunan reported, pointing to the dark shapes at the edge of the galaxy. "We beat them before, but the cost was terrible. That's why we chose to sleep." Minji stepped forward with new information from the archives. "Last time, we fought alone," she said. "We didn't trust other worlds to help. We thought we had to protect everyone by ourselves. That was our mistake." Ambassador Hansol had been invited to the meeting. He looked around the amazing room with its floating screens and humming machines. "The council worlds are willing to help," he said, "but they need to trust you first. Right now, they only see Earth's power. They need to see Earth's heart." Taiwan nodded slowly. He touched a screen, and a new image appeared. It showed a small planet on the outer edge of the galaxy. Its people were just starting to reach for the stars. "Look at them," Taiwan said softly. "They remind me of what we once were, before we became powerful. Full of hope and dreams. That's what we protected before. That's what we need to protect again." Jai-Ho stood up and walked to the center of the room. Above him, a map of the galaxy spun slowly, showing all the worlds that needed help. "I suggest a middle path," he said. "Not an empire like before, but a confederation of equals. We share our knowledge slowly, carefully. We help worlds grow at their own pace, and we prepare them all for what's coming." The room was quiet as everyone thought about this idea. Outside, Earth's oceans glowed with the light of ancient cities. The sky shimmered with layers of defense shields. Ships that could cross the galaxy in days waited for orders. "The Council needs to understand something," Taiwan said finally. "We didn't hide because we were weak. We didn't sleep because we were afraid. We chose to step back because power needs wisdom to guide it." Hansol smiled for the first time since Earth's awakening began. "That," he said, "is exactly what they need to hear." Suddenly, alarms sounded. Not the harsh warnings of danger, but soft chimes of recognition. Minji rushed to a screen. "The signals," she said excitedly. "Our old allies, the ones who went into hiding with us. They're waking up too." New lights appeared on the galaxy map. Worlds that everyone thought were primitive or empty began to show signs of advanced life. Earth wasn't the only giant that had been sleeping. "Now," Jai-Ho said with a warm smile, "we can really begin. Not as rulers, but as teachers. Not as conquerors, but as guardians. The galaxy needs balance between the old and the new." Taiwan touched another screen, and his voice went out to every Earth ship and station. "This is Earth Command. Our new mission is clear. We protect, we teach, we help, but we do not rule. Prepare to receive representatives from all worlds. It's time to share our knowledge the right way." In the Galactic Council chamber, Hansol delivered Earth's message. The council members listened as he explained Earth's plan. No empire, no control, just protection and guidance, freely given to any world that wanted it. One by one, the council members began to understand. Earth had changed while it slept. Its power was still there, but now it had something more important. It had wisdom. Do-Jin Kim stared at his scanner screen for the 5th time that day. The energy readings from the blue-green planet shouldn't exist. He rubbed his tired eyes and took another sip of his hot drink, similar to what humans called coffee. After 20 years of searching for new worlds for the Galactic Council, he had never seen anything like this. "Senior Researcher Kim, the Council is waiting for your report," his assistant called from the doorway of his small research pod. "Tell them I need 5 more minutes," Do-Jin said, not taking his eyes off the screen. The planet, which the locals called Earth, showed all the signs of a developing civilization. They had basic space travel, primitive nuclear power, and were just beginning to understand quantum mechanics. But underneath all that, deep within the planet's core, something else pulsed with power. The council chamber was as grand as ever when Dujin finally entered. 200 representatives from different worlds sat in rising circles, their faces illuminated by soft blue light. Some looked human-like, others had scales or feathers, and a few were merely clouds of conscious gas in containment suits. "Researcher Kim, you requested this emergency session," the head counselor said. "Please explain why you've interrupted our regular proceedings." Du Jin connected his data pad to the main display. A hologram of Earth appeared in the center of the chamber, spinning slowly. 3 days ago, my team discovered this world at the edge of the Orion Arm. At first glance, it appears to be a standard Level 2 civilization, primitive but developing. He pressed a button, and the hologram changed to show energy readings. Red lines pulsed from the planet's core, forming complex patterns that spread across the surface. But these energy signatures tell a different story. They're unlike anything in our database. Murmurs spread through the chamber. A scaled representative leaned forward. Could it be natural formation? "No," Du Jin said firmly. "These patterns are too regular, too precise. Something or someone made them. But here's what's stranger. The humans don't seem to know they exist." He showed images of Earth's cities, their technology, their daily lives. "They're developing exactly as we'd expect a young civilization to develop. No signs of advanced energy manipulation, no quantum engineering, nothing that would explain these readings." "Could they be hiding their true capabilities?" another council member asked. Du Jin shook his head. "We've observed them for 3 days. Their struggles with basic spaceflight are genuine. Their wars over primitive resources are real. Their pollution problems aren't faked. By every measure, they're exactly what they appear to be, except for these energy signatures." The head counselor stood up. "What are you suggesting, Researcher Kim?" "I believe we should send an assessment team," Du Jin said. "Something doesn't add up. Either there's another civilization living beneath their surface, or," he paused, choosing his words carefully, "or there's something about Earth we're all missing." The council chamber erupted in discussion. Some demanded immediate contact, others urged caution. The head counselor raised a hand for silence. "We will classify Earth as a Level 2 primitive world," she announced. "But given these unusual readings, we will also send an assessment team. Researcher Kim, you will brief Ambassador Hansol and his team before they depart." As Du Jin left the chamber, he couldn't shake the feeling that they were all missing something obvious. The energy patterns reminded him of something, but he couldn't quite place it, like an old song playing just at the edge of memory. In his research pod that night, he made one final log entry. "First contact with Earth approved. Status: Level 2 primitive world. Personal note: exercise caution. The most dangerous thing in the galaxy is not what we don't know, but what we think we know for certain." He looked one last time at the strange energy patterns pulsing from Earth's core. Somewhere on that blue-green world, answers were waiting. He just hoped they were ready for what they might find. What no one in the council chamber had noticed was a small light blinking on Earth's monitoring stations. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, in a chamber untouched for millennia, an ancient system logged the council's observations and sent a single word to stations hidden around the planet: "Ready." Ambassador Hansol stood at the window of his ship as it entered Earth's atmosphere. The blue planet grew larger, its white clouds swirling below. After 50 years of diplomatic work, he thought he had seen everything. But something about this mission felt different. "Sir, the humans have cleared us to land at their United Nations building," his pilot said. "They seem very calm about all this." Hansol nodded. Most primitive worlds panicked at first contact. There would be chaos, fear, sometimes even attacks. But the humans had simply sent a polite message welcoming them to Earth. The ship landed smoothly on a large pad in New York City. A small group of humans waited nearby, dressed in simple dark suits. One man stood slightly ahead of the others, a gentle smile on his face. "Welcome to Earth," the man said as Han Sol and his team stepped out. "I'm Jeho Park, Earth's representative for this meeting. We hope your journey was pleasant." Han Sol blinked in surprise. The human's universal translator was working perfectly, too perfectly for a Level 2 civilization that had just received the technology yesterday. "Thank you, Representative Park," Han Sol said carefully. "We're honored to be here." As they walked into the building, Han Sol's science officer whispered to him, "Sir, I'm getting strange readings. There are energy signatures everywhere, but they don't match any power sources we can see." Jeho Park led them to a large conference room. Through the windows, Han Sol could see the city spreading out below. It looked exactly like what a developing civilization should have: metal and glass buildings, ground vehicles, primitive aircraft. But something felt off. "We've prepared a presentation about Earth's current technological level," Jeho said, still smiling that calm smile. "We want to be very clear about our capabilities." The presentation was perfect, too perfect. It showed exactly what a Level 2 civilization should have. Basic space flight. Check. Early fusion experiments. Check. First steps into quantum computing. Check. Everything was there. Everything was correct. And that was what bothered Han Sol the most. "Representative Park," Han Sol said during a break, "we detected some unusual energy patterns from your planet's core. Would you care to explain them?" "Ah, yes," Jeho said, looking amused. "Our scientists have noticed some strange readings too. We thought perhaps they were natural phenomena. Would your experts like to study them?" Before Han Sol could answer, his security officer burst into the room. "Ambassador, we found something. There are structures, ancient structures, all over their planet. They're buried under ice, under oceans, under deserts." Jeho Park's smile didn't waver. "Oh yes, we have many archaeological mysteries. Old ruins, strange markings. Every civilization has them, don't they?" Han Sol looked at the human carefully. Was that a hint of laughter in his eyes? That evening, in his temporary quarters, Han Sol wrote his first report to the Council. "Earth appears to be exactly what we expected. A Level 2 developing world. Their technology matches all our predictions. Their society shows all the signs of a young civilization. Everything is perfect. Too perfect. And that's what worries me." He added a personal note. "There's an old saying in diplomacy. If something seems too good to be true, it usually is. Earth is hiding something. But are they hiding their weaknesses or their strengths?" Deep beneath the meeting room, in a chamber older than human civilization itself, Jeho Park placed his hand on a smooth metal wall. A display lit up, showing the locations of the alien ships in orbit. "They're suspicious," a voice said from the shadows. Su Min, Earth's defense commander, stepped into view. "Should we speed up the timeline?" Jeho shook his head. "No. Let them look around. Let them study their readings. Let them think they're discovering our secrets." He smiled, watching the alien ships on the display. "After all, it's been 10,000 years. We can wait a few more days." Above them, hidden in plain sight among Earth's primitive satellites, ancient defense platforms silently tracked every alien vessel, waiting for the signal to awaken.